Hey crew, we're in chapter 25 and 26 of the book of Exodus. In our last session together, chapter 24 closed with Moses going up on Mount Sinai for one final conversation with God before the Israelites, they pack up and they head from Sinai toward Canaan. But there on Mount Sinai in chapter 25 and 26, God tells Moses that God's got someone God's going to send with them on this road trip to Canaan, someone they're going to have to make some special accommodations for. Any guesses who this special guest on their trip will be? Well, stay with me and you'll find out. So Moses is up there on Mount Sinai, and God tells Moses, Moses, I want you to go down to your people and collect an offering. And from those offerings, God says he wants Moses to build what appears to be a traveling sanctuary, a mobile tabernacle. And honestly, for the next 7 chapters, we get God's ridiculously detailed blueprints for this traveling tabernacle and what should happen inside of it. For example, the tabernacle should be built with materials offered up by the Israelites, including precious metals and stones, which forces someone to ask, where in the world are they going to get all this stuff out in the wilderness? Of course, as we've seen before in the Bible, the authors of the Bible aren't always concerned with historical details, as much as they are about making a point. The author goes into painstaking detail, providing incredibly specific architectural blueprints for this traveling sanctuary they're to construct and take with them on this next leg of their journey. God gives Moses detailed instructions on how to build even the sacred objects that they are to place in this tabernacle. Now we have to ask, why all this detail? Why all the trouble? Well, God is asking them to go to all this trouble because they have a new traveling companion. God is going to join them on their journey to Canaan. Now, you have to put yourself in the context without our theological understanding that God goes with us wherever we go. Now, remember, the Israelites, they were out in the wilderness, and where did they encounter God? Where was the place? It was up on Mount Sinai. For those Israelites, that's where God resided. That was God's home. Now, by having them build this traveling sanctuary, God was changing the Israelites' understanding of where God wanted to be known. Not up on some mountain, but rather with them in the wilderness. The details tell the story. The tabernacle will in some ways resemble a traveling Mount Sinai. The traveling sanctuary will be divided, it says, into 3 sections. The outer court for everyone, the holy place, where only priests may enter, and then the most holy place where the high priest alone may enter. Mount Sinai was described as having 3 sections as well. The base, the sort of ill-defined middle, and the summit where Moses encountered God alone. The tablets also that were given to Moses on Sinai were now to be deposited in the ark. The ark will now function as the summit of Sinai. In other words, the tabernacle is sort of a portable Mount Sinai. Yahweh will no longer reside in a distant mountaintop. Rather, God is mobile. God is on the move and will reside with Israel wherever they might be. God was going on a road trip with those Israelites, and he would be there to the very end. So a couple of questions for you today. The tabernacle was a visible reminder that God was present with the Israelites. What visible reminders do you have that God is present in your life? Where do you see God most clearly? On the mountaintop or out on the road or out in the wilderness? Folks, thanks so much today for tuning in.